A pleasant evening, guests, parents, and teachers. A warm welcome to the day's discussion topic on back to school anxiety, parents' perspective. We are all ears, dear parents. The hot discussion topic, the first series under Craft World School Knowledge Hub, is about the schools of the future and the future of schooling. A great disruptor of the recent years, COVID-19 has brought in the road to future and of the digital technologies more closer, has opened avenues for innovative content-based learning, have paved way for students to learn in their first language and at a comfortable pace. Parent engagement in their children's education has finally become a reality. The term digital divide and measures initiated to curb the same wouldn't have been even thought about if not the pandemic. Nevertheless, it has been agreed upon in unison that it is a traditional face-to-face modes of learning in school that will continue to play a major role in education more than the edtech. And this context is being set as a base for the day's discussion when we are getting prepared to welcome students back to school and getting ready to face the reality of the learning evolution that unlearning is a new learning. I'm Bindu Menon, Associate Risk Consultant with Craft Educational Trust, and it's my pleasure to be a moderator for this session. In the panel, we have with us Advocate C.A. Majid, Managing Trustee, Craft World School and Executive Director, Rams Business School. Dr. Kirti Pramod, COVID Nodal Officer at Department of Health Services, Government of Kerala. Ms. Lakshmi Sam, Journalism Faculty at St. Anne's High Secondary School, Kodungalur. Dr. George Joseph Pattaseri was a consultant pediatrician with Kinda Hospital, Kochi. Mr. Sabri Harad, General Manager at Complete Vibrant Trading and Contracting Company, Muscat. Just a quick look at the agenda. We will start the session with a welcome speech, followed by speakers' slot of 5 minutes each. Questions from the audience would follow, then to panelist feedback, to be followed by a word of thanks and session wrap-up. Now, may I invite Ms. Mridula Praveen, Principal, Craft World School, to deliver the welcome address, please. Ms. Mridula Praveen.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Bindu, for that wonderful introduction. So a very good evening, my dear parents, teachers. Welcome to a glorious and magnificent evening. Thank you so much for joining us. So respected our Managing Trustee, Advocate Majid Sir, our esteemed parents, teachers, and well-wishers. So as you all know, Craft World School always goes above and beyond the normal curve of imparting education to children who we consider as the future resources of the world. So here we are today again with another revolutionary venture of our education renaissance drive, which is a webinar series. And today is the maiden series, as said by Ms. Bindu, of Craft World School Knowledge Hub. So I welcome you all to this wonderful event. Yeah, we do have our panelists, our parent professionals, as said by Ms. Bindu. We have two of our doctors, Dr. Kirti and Dr. George. Thank you so much for joining us and squeezing in your precious time to talk about the back to school jitters that we are going to face and still facing. And also we do have Mr. Sabri Harith and Ms. Lakshmi, teacher and businessman, to talk and go deep into the issue. Thank you so much and welcome to the parent professionals who are actually the knowledge hub. We all know that each and every parent in our school community are one or the other way professionals and are ready to share their expertise with us. So I welcome you all to this maiden series of our Knowledge Hub webinar. Before we start the webinar, let me take a couple of minutes to tell you all how proud and excited. Actually, that is the thing that I have been getting into my nerves since I started welcoming you all. The words are not actually coming through my mouth because I'm so excited and proud about the accreditation news of our school. Since yesterday, I am in cloud nine, where I am not even able to express what I feel through words as usual. So to be frank, it's a dream come true. You all know that to become the only international school in Cochin to offer programs of early years, Cambridge primary and Cambridge lower secondary with checkpoints. So that means right from nursery all the way through grade 8, we are the one and only international school in Cochin who offers all these programs. So we are indeed proud and excited and thrilled, privileged, blessed, humbled. Uh, all these feelings are going through my veins, and that emotional turbulence is getting expressed. So thank you so much to all parents who actually supported us all through the journey. So this affiliation takes us to a phenomenal level of joining the network of Cambridge schools worldwide. And I just want to show you the difference on the status of our school after the grant of our official accreditation. So I just have a small screenshot to tell you how it actually makes the difference. Yeah, just give me a second. I hope you all can see my screen. Yes?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
all right.
But there's another window.
It's another window. Yeah, I just opened
Yeah,
it
now it's fine.
now. Yes, this is how it is. Yeah, so now why we are into Cambridge and what are the 10 reasons to choose the Cambridge pathway and how we have changed our entire phase of learning and education by associating with Cambridge pathway. So these are the 10 main reasons that we have taken this international curriculum. The success, flexibility, future skills, development, choice of subjects, the recognition of our qualification, including, by all the universities worldwide, including over 650 in the US itself, all the Ivy League colleges, preparation, training, global and heritage. So this is the nutshell of why we have associated with Cambridge Pathway, why we took that international syllabus in our school, and why we have been doing it with all our, efforts and hard work. We have been trying to implement all these Cambridge Pathway ways just because these are the 10 reasons that we are focusing into. So the successes, they have a path of educational success from 5 to 19 years, flexibility of a wide range of subjects and flexible ways to offer them, future skills, and development. Each stage builds on the learner's development in the previous stage. Excuse me. The choice of subjects, there are about 70 at Cambridge IGCSE and 50 at international ASM A levels, unlike 14 or 15 in CBSE and Indian syllabus. And the recognition, the qualifications are recognized worldwide. And the admission officers, everyone has been surveyed, and about 98% of admission officers have been saying that we have been, the Cambridge qualified children has been admitted to the world-class universities in this way. And the training to the teachers and through publications, online resources and everything is first class by Cambridge, and the global recognition. Every year, we are having Cambridge learners from about 10,000 schools. And also the history of Cambridge is almost about 150 years. So we can be as proud as Cambridge that we have been become a very a phenomenal addition to the Cambridge international qualifications, the global network. I just have another one to just give you a brisk. way of thing. Yeah. Yeah, as I just told you, I guess you can see, yeah, over 10,000 schools in 160 countries. And we are a division of Cambridge Assessment, which is a not-for-profit organization. And it has taught more than 2,000 schools in over 120 countries. So these are the facts and figures of Cambridge. Yeah, we are the world's biggest provider of O-level. That means the 10th standard in our country is taught as O-levels in Cambridge. So we are the world's biggest providers. So I just want to focus on how big we are and what phenomenal change it has brought, the whole affiliation has brought to us. So we have been a great addition to this wonderful global network. I'll definitely share all the facts and figures to all to your email so that you can just go through it. And I do have another one to just go through. Yeah. After getting qualified, how we are getting into the universities. These are the top 20 universities around the world, which is actually MIT, the Massachusetts Institute, Stanford University, Harvard University, Caltech, Oxford University. So all these universities has recognized our Cambridge International A-levels. That means 12th grade. After 12th, we will be directly admitted to all these top 20 universities in the world. So this is where we have got into. So definitely today is a wonderful evening and a wonderful day, a magnificent day for Craftworld School, which is actually getting into my list. And as I told you, yeah, I'm not able to talk properly. Yeah, anyway, this is the thing about our affiliation. Although this was not planned, when we planned this maiden series of Craftworld School Knowledge Hub, suddenly the affiliation information has been here day before yesterday. So just thought of changing a plan of this, the whole thing to just inform you all. Usually schools used to celebrate as a party when they get accreditation with all the whole school family. But this time due to COVID, we are just able to do this through online. And as we have met today together as a school family, just thought of giving you a little information on that. So that is about the affiliation. So I thank God Almighty, the Omnipresent, for his grace and blessings upon this incredible achievement. And I also extend the aura of credit to all of you, to each and every one of our school family who were a part of us right from the beginning, right from our inception in 2015. And to all the stakeholders and our most cherished, all-time cherished parent fraternity, that is all of you. So thank you very much. Along with that, I want to tell you one more thing. Miss Bindu Menon just now was acting as a moderator. She has an additional association with us. She has joined us as a life skills coach and consultant since this September. She has almost about 2.5 decades, about 25 years of professional experience. And that includes strategic business planning and ROI accountability, sales and marketing, content design and development, channel and client management, pan-India operations, franchisee acquisition and management, and the list goes on. So she has joined us as a consultant and life skills coach for our students and also for our teachers. So that is also another big news of our school. So here it is. We are here in the maiden series of our educational renaissance drive. So I welcome you all with this big, glorious additions and achievement and accolades announcement. So I wish you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you, Ms. Bindu. Over to you.
Thank you, Ms. Mridula, for that wonderful welcome address. The excitement share and introducing me to the family of parents and teachers. The theme of the webinar is Back to School Anxiety, Parents' Perspective, and the speakers in the panel would be sharing their expert views, analyzing the different dimensions of the theme. The speakers may speak for the allotted 5 minutes. Irene stated 5 minutes on the respective topic. And after exactly 25 minutes, once all the speakers are through, we move on to the Q&A from audience. May I welcome Advocate Mr. C. M. Majid, Managing Trustee, Craft World Foundation and Executive Director, Rural Academy for Management Studies, to deliver the keynote address on the topic, Principles to be followed for reopening school safety during the COVID-19 pandemic. Mr. Majid is an accomplished advocate with about 40 years of expertise in devising and implementing practical solutions to complex problems. Avid communicator, writer, great visionary, education enthusiast who aligns with futuristic learning methodologies driven by values. Have spearheaded Craft World School to win many accolades, including the most socially active school recently. His insights on education renaissance have made a great impact right from the elementary level all across professional PG programs. He's a trendsetter for the revolutionary changes in educational policies with foresights for enrichment for future citizens. As a versatile legal practitioner, Mr. Majid has served as district notary, Council for Kerala Public Service Commission, Council for various nationalized banks and other financial institutions, Council for International Transport Workers Federation, London, Council for KSRTC, Greater Cochin Development Authority, and other local bodies. Prosecutor and Special Court for Economic Offences, officiator is arbitrator appointed by SEBI, and the list goes on. Mr. Majid is a globetrotter and with his exposure worldwide has contributed majorly to many socially responsible initiatives. Inviting Advocate Mr. C. Majid to speak on his topic, please, sir.
Thank you, Bindu, for the accomplishments made on me. My dear parents and dear teachers, it is with immense pleasure and happiness I share this evening with you, parents and teachers of Craft World School. This webinar series will be a continued interaction between parents and the general public, highlighting the current educational issues. Those who joined in the webinar today are the real backbones of Craft World School community. The heights of the school has reached presently is all because of the strong support and patronage from your side. We have been working together as one for the last 7 years, and I praise my gratitude for each and everyone supporting in making our unique methodology of teaching reach far and wide. As you all know, our school is unique in many ways and follows several special characteristics in the educational arena. As said by the principal, our school has accorded official approval from Cambridge. Now we are fully accredited Cambridge International School from nursery to grade 8. That is, we became one of the 10,000 international schools around 160 countries. It is the first of its kind in Kerala that from nursery level to the secondary level, the school got the approval from the Cambridge. Now it is a time that this commendable approach reaches many people and help all the parents who are keen on opting the futuristic learning methodologies. The present scenario in the educational field due to COVID-19 is terrible for the last 18 months. Due to the pandemic, our children are confined to their house and are restricted from mingling with the friends, relatives, and society. Every other activity has also been restricted. As they are at the growing age, their mindset became very dull and addiction to the screen made them distressed. They are not able to play with their friends, enjoy their childhood, nor have any other activities, making them totally dull. The big challenge that parents face today is the revival and rejuvenation of the mindset of the children. Various studies on this pandemic reveals that the children sustain various psychological issues, including stress and strain. The present issues prevailing are back to school. The various research studies reveal that the spread of COVID-19 minimal among children. As an experimental, we have conducted physical classes for nursery and KG1 2 months back, one day in our school, and the appreciation and happiness of the children made me much excited. We are always prepared and ready to welcome children for physical classes, following all the COVID protocols and security measures. The vision of Craftware School is to unlock the superpowers of the children and making them avail the benefits of the physical classes through online classes too. We can shape every child according to their talents. The various specialties of Craftware School transforms the children community to have a happy, memorable, and enjoyable childhood. On the other hand, the anxiety of parents regarding the pandemic, if physical classes started, is also a great concern. We are expect activities from authorities and those who are conducting research in this field. We are duty bound to give the best possible to our children. Studies are going on in its way, and if authorities and other existing circumstances permit, we can have the physical classes at the earliest. Initially, it will be a big challenge, but it will reduce day by day, I think. Now, we have started the Craftware School Knowledge Hub for interacting with our parents and to the public also. Today, as earlier principal said, I formally inaugurate the Craftware School Knowledge Hub formally with all permissions from all of you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. That was a wonderful note shared on the topic, this great vision of yours with the support of parents. Now let it continue forever. That's what I would say. Now, may I welcome Dr. Kirti Pramod, COVID Nodal Officer, Department of Health Services, Government of Kerala, to speak on the topic. It's a wonderful topic, by the way. It's time to get back to school with the right health metrics. Dr. Kirti Pramod has done an MBBS from Government Medical College Trivandrum and post-graduation in pediatrics from Government Medical College Kannur. She is associated with the Department of Health Services, Government of Kerala, as a COVID Nodal Officer for the past 5 years. Inviting Dr. Kirti Pramod to speak on our topic, please. Dr. Kirti.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, all of you. Am I audible?
Yes, please. Very much. Yeah.
Yes.
So before going into the topic proper, let me take this opportunity to congratulate Majid sir, Mridula ma'am, and the whole Craft World team for this wonderful achievement. It means it means a lot to us also as like parents also. We feel great to hear this news. Thank you so much. Now, coming to the topic proper, actually, we have been fighting the COVID pandemic for the past 20 months or so. And we will have to continue fighting for a few more months or maybe years until our society achieves a certain herd immunity so that the virus settles down. So that will take time. So until then, we'll have to live with this. That is, this is a new normal for us parents, for teachers, and for our children. So to live with this means that includes sending up to school, because school and school related programs are very much important for the wholesome development of a child. School means it is not restricted to academics alone. School is very important, plays an important role for the mental, for the emotional, as well as the social development of the child. So it is very, very important. As Majid sir aptly pointed out, our children are becoming dull. So it's very important that we send our children back to school, but sending back to the school means that requires a lot of preparedness, both from the side of the school authorities as well as from parents. So I'll just quickly through what has come in my mind considering these two perspectives. First, let me elaborate regarding the certain aspects which are involved with the school authorities. So there are certain golden rules that have to be followed by the school before you going for full-fledged physical classes or reopening the school as such. So according to the latest guidelines by the CDC, Center for Disease Control, they have certain set guidelines set out for before reopening the schools. First one is that you have to promote vaccination for all the eligible school staff, which includes the teachers, the administrative staff, the drivers, kitchen staff, everyone, each and every staff in the school who are eligible for COVID vaccination has to be vaccinated. That is the first priority, preferably 2 doses. So that is the first thing, because only vaccination, it is the only preventive strategy which will help to build the herd immunity so that in a few months or years' time, we will be able to bring the pandemic down. And the second thing is that as for the golden letters, SMS, that is using mask, social distancing, and soap or sanitizer usage. So first and foremost is universal masking. That means irrespective of the vaccination status of the staff, all the students, all the staff, and even the visitors who visit the school during the school hours should wear masks. I think all of you might know about the different types of masks. There are different types. I'm not going into the details. Anyway, the key point is that universal masking is necessary. Second thing is that you have to have proper physical social distancing within the classroom, and even during lunchtime or even during break time, even during the assembly, during play time, each and every time, see to it that there is a physical distance, social distance of at least 3 feet between the students. And third thing is that proper usage of hand washing, sanitizer, soap. You have to promote frequent hand washing. You have to have proper ventilation of the classrooms. You have to properly clean and disinfect the classroom before we let the students in, and ask the students to follow proper respiratory etiquettes, like you have to close the mouth and nose while sneezing, coughing, etc. So you have to follow all those preventive strategies so as to reduce the transmission risk of the virus. And the most important point is that any person in the school, be it student, be it a teacher, be it a staff, if you find that there are any symptom, it does not necessarily mean fever or cough. If he or she complains of tiredness or any symptom of, for that matter, they should be sent to their home. They should not be allowed to remain in the school, and proper follow-up should be done. If testing is required, that has to be done. And you have to definitely, from the school's side, proper follow-up of the concerned person is to be done. And one suggestion I would like to give is that you can keep a register in school. It doesn't mean a fever register or something. It can be a symptoms register. Just keep a register and keep a note of the people who are symptomatic, so that if at all someone turns positive or something like that, you can just go back and trace which who was the student which was sitting very next to him or her, or certain things regarding quarantine, isolation, etc. So and also you can have infrared thermometers at the school. Maybe pulse oximeter is not required, but still thermometers are necessary. And these are all, I think, all these points you might be knowing. It's very common nowadays. You can see in advertisement, you can see in paper, everything, all the points I have elaborated now, you people know. But the thing, only one thing I want to highlight is that the school should have a designated nodal officer, that is a COVID-19 nodal officer should be there. He should be a responsible person. It can either be a teacher or an administrative staff, but he or she should be a responsible person, and this person should have constant communication with the concerned health staff. Like our school is under Kotuvalli Panchayat, and it is in a certain ward, and that there is a health staff. It might be a JHI or the APHN who has the charge of the ward. So the ward officer of the school should have the contact number of this person, and any queries, any clarifications regarding the changes in the guidelines, or any updates in the guidelines, or any queries regarding the quarantine isolation, for that matter, anything regarding to COVID-19 has to be communicated to the health staff, and adequate information has to be accessed from them. And then I think strategies have to be planned and implemented from that information. And if the concerned health staff is not able to provide that information, you can very well approach the higher up officials, that includes doctors. We are there to help you in any form possible. So that is very important, that you have a nodal officer at the school, and this nodal officer also has to coordinate all the activities that is related to the COVID-19 prevention, that is implementation of the preventive strategies which are taken by the school. He or she should see that that is being implemented, that he should coordinate the activities. So these are the basic what you say guidelines which followed from the school's side before reopening, or once after reopened. This has to be followed for a long period of time. This is not going to end in 1 or 2 days or months. You have to follow it for a pretty long period of time. So you will have to have a guideline better printed and kept, and you have to have review meetings, possibly every week or something, and you have to plan your strategies accordingly. The second perspective is from the parent side. So it is difficult for the parents. As parents, it's very difficult for us, given that there is a increased caseload, mortality, death rate is high. So that means we are really worried to send our children back to school. But having said that, we have to send them to the school, because we are going to live with this maybe for 4 months or years. So the brighter side is that in the recent survey by the ICMR, it is found that there is no increased risk for the children in the third wave. It was earlier, I think most of you have read in newspapers that earlier studies shown that in the third wave, during the third wave, children will, pediatric population is going to be affected the most. And so that was the factor which was worrying us. Being a pediatrician myself, we were all worried. We had so many trainings regarding the pediatric COVID and all. But the recent studies shows that, yeah, that there is no increased risk. And plus already Majid sir told that in pediatric population, from the available data and scientific evidence, we can infer that children are having more immunity compared to the adults. And even those children with COVID, they are having less severe symptoms, they are having less complications, and the death rate is also very, very less. So that I can tell you from my personal experience, because me and my whole family got infected during May this year. And my son, who is in grade 5, also got infected. But the very positive thing was that he had only a very, very low grade fever, very mild fever, just for 1 day. And he was up and active the next day. He was normal. So I think, and from my professional experience also, I have so many babies or children in home isolation, where we keep the COVID positive children at home. And I don't remember even one case I had to refer because of a complication. Pediatric case I'm referring to. I didn't have to refer because in children it's usually a very mild variety of diseases. So even then, as parents, you can do certain things which can help the children get back to school. One is that, especially in case of older children, the parents can have a one-to-one conversation with the child. They can give information regarding the usage of masks, sanitizers, social distancing. Even though our children are very, very smart, they know, maybe they know more information than us, but still then just reinforce the fact, the need for masks, social distancing, etc. Second one is that if the child is symptomatic, you feel that the child is not behaving normally, that he is tired, or he is having pain over the legs, or he is telling that I'm not well, mama, or I'm not well, papa, just keep him at home. Don't send him to school, and get the necessary medical advice. And if needed, you can test, and further follow-up may be needed. So that is very important. Don't send the child to school if there is any sort of symptom. And about all, below 18 years of age, there are studies going on, vaccination. At some places, some countries, they have started vaccination. We hope that in the near future, our country also will start vaccination in the pediatric age group. So as and when COVID vaccination is being introduced to the pediatric age group, feel free to get your children vaccinated. Just you are the pillars in their lives. So you have to give them the confidence that if you don't worry, just go to school, but keep in mind that you have to maintain social distancing and keep your mask on. I think by practicing all this and by both parents and school authorities working hand in hand, we can definitely send our children to school safely and help in their development, in their wholesome development. As a whole, we can put together all these pieces together and work for a better future for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kirti. That was wonderfully put across. Just recapping whatever you've shared with us. One is about the herd immunity, and we were talking about the holistic development. It's just not academics, but at school, children learn a lot of things. You were saying before sending the children to school, which have to be taking care of the promoting vaccine for all staff, including the support staff, teachers, I was saying, and then 2 doses must. And we're talking about the SMS and universal masking. I have a doubt here, how is this going to be implemented as far as schools are concerned? Who's going to take responsibility of this? And then how is it going to be monitored and things like that? And we're talking about the mask. In fact, I have a question from the audience on what are the type of mask and things like that. I would be asking the question, towards the end of the session. And social distancing, 3 feet. Really don't understand how are the schools going to monitor that, or who is going to take charge of it, and responsibility. All these things are definitely we need to discuss and come up with a solution. Disinfecting, maybe the operations team should take care of the frequency, how often should it be done, and things like that. Register, yes, obviously that would help the person who is in contact with the concerned departments. Then here you were talking about the designated nodal officer. Just have a question here. What is the escalation point of this nodal officer? Who is he or she going to report, or is there anything? What is the escalation point of this nodal officer? Dr. Kirti? Dr. Kirti, I was just asking, what is the escalation point of this nodal officer?
The concerned health staff in the ward, that is our school is under a panchayat. Each panchayat is divided into different wards, and our school is situated in one of such wards. And that ward has a designated health staff. It can be a junior health inspector or the junior public health nurse. That is the grassroots level worker at that stage.
Okay.
The nodal officer can directly report any queries or any problems. He can report it directly to the field staff. We refer to them as field staff, field level public health workers.
So that is the first point of contact.
Yeah, that is the first point of contact. Yeah. And if things are not managed at that level, because as you asked about the disinfection part, the worker can very well give the detailed what is to be used, how it is to be used. So they can, he or she can very well give that information. If it's not done at that level, then there is next higher level, which is a health inspector. If it's not at that level also, then we have medical officers who we can help you in any way possible. We can help you.
Thank you. And does these nodal officers, do they go through any sort of training or something? Because it's an additional responsibility, and do they Is any training which is being given to them?
If needed,
Yeah.
we can do the training, since I am the medical officer of the concerned health institution.
Mhm.
If any sort of training, you can feel free to communicate with me. I shall just intimate my charge medical officer, and if needed, yes, we can give you training after communicating with my charge officer.
That is great. And with the parents' perspective, that is indeed very reassuring that you were saying that parents need not worry much sending children back to school, and then the measures which they need to basically take care of, making them understand. But as you rightly said, children know better than us nowadays, so it's all taken care. Thank you so very much for that. Now, may I welcome Ms. Lakshmi Sam, journalism faculty at St. Anne's High Secondary School, to speak on the topic Back to School, Key Tools and Approaches to Hybrid Learning. A postgraduate in mass communication and journalism, Ms. Lakshmi Sam started her career as a media person in Malayalam Manorama in 2007, and also had the opportunity to work as an artist in All India Radio, Trivandrum, was introduced to the wonderful world of teaching 9 years ago, and have had the opportunity to work in esteemed institutions including Kendriya Vidyalaya, Portras, has been working as a faculty of journalism at St. Anne's High Secondary School, Kodungalur, since 2015. Inviting Ms. Lakshmi Sam to speak on a topic, please. Ms. Lakshmi.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, all. I would like to start off by congratulating the Craft World School for this wonderful initiative, and thanking you all for the platform that you have given me. So, jumping right into the topic. It's not a new thing to say that for the past 1.5 years, if we all feel like we have been we have been a part of a sci-fi movie, a science fiction movie. Sometimes we just think how unimaginable things have happened to us. Is it all happening right now? Is it happening to us really? We have been pondering, we have been thinking, we have been wondering. And so for the past 1.5 years, we have all been trying to cope up with all the situation. We all know that. And drastic changes have come in every walk of life, in every aspect of our life. And so is education. Personally, I would say that education is the one field which was most affected, because I'm a parent, I'm a teacher, so I'll naturally be biasing towards that. But then all factors considered, we are dealing with, they are not goods, they are not objects. As Mridula said earlier, they are the future of the world. They are the future of every nation, the whole world. We are dealing with them. And these little ones have gone into isolation or an isolated state for the past 18 years. I remember during the first phase of lockdown, the very first phase of lockdown, when June came, when schools were ready to reopen, for the first time, parents were somewhat relieved that, oh my God, this year I do not have to worry about school shopping or maybe the bus timings or what I have to give them for lunch to school today. And we were relieved. And I now would like to connect with the theme of the day, that is back to school anxiety. The moment our children was born, a parent was born, anxiety is the constant companion. We always worry about things. We always have things to worry about our children. And for the first time, we were relieved that, our children are safe. Especially mothers, I get to see them 24/7, from morning to evening, for working mothers especially. So all these relief and happiness slowly started to change or transform into some sort of, again, anxiety that our children were going into a cocoon. I would really like to relate this term, or I would really like to exaggerate this term. We all went to a cocoon, and I will never deny the fact that technology was I would not say the best companion, but technology was the constant companion that we had to wait through the lockdown or this difficult period. And we all relied on technology because our jobs were being done, or we were doing our jobs using technology. Our children were educated, and the only medium was technology. And the entertainment, the only mode of entertainment was all these technologies that we had in our house. And finally, the outcome is that our children are glued to technology. I do not think that in the near future or in any near future, we are going to, we will be able to tear them apart. They are so glued, they have become a package, I would say. And now we are talking about the prospect of coming back to school or back to school. We are all very relieved. And at the same time, as doctor said, we are equally tensed about that. Why? Because for the past 18 months, our children have gone through a lot because there was no option for socially engaging with there were maybe a blessed few who had the opportunity to spend time with their grandparents and someone who had siblings or maybe a few cousins. But we were afraid to do that even. And now what happens is that when these children come back to school, they have gone through isolation, they are confused, they have gone through trauma. Some may have witnessed the tragedies of COVID that have happened in their families, and the economic status of families have changed. And when many, I do not think that in Craft World School such a situation would happen, but in a school where I am teaching, I've witnessed children who do not even have a new pair of clothes or a decent pair of uniform with them. And they do not even have a new school bag maybe to show off to their friends. So such is the situation of the children, or such is the such is the state of the children that we are going to face when teachers and these students come back to school. So how do we start off? We have to take small steps, very small steps. We all have to be very careful. How do we be careful? We have to take care of their psychological state. The little ones, they do not even know what they have missed for these past 18 months. School will be a very novel place for them. And now we as teachers and parents have to make them acclimatized. I would use the term, I think it is okay. We have to make them familiar with the climate of, or the situation of the physical schooling that is going to happen. And now how do we do that? I think we can never, as I told earlier, we can never tear apart the technology or the technological knowledge that they are going to carry, they have carried with them, they have accumulated from the past 18 months. So that is there. And we can never replace teachers, and we can never replace the experience that the physical environment of a school will give them, because school is a miniature society. So we have witnessed what all the lack of a physical environment or schooling have done to them. So then the answer is blended learning. Blended means, you all know that maybe each one of you is familiar to the term by now. Blended learning means where we take the best of both worlds, that is of the best elements of e-learning and then the best elements of the physical interference or the physical situations that a school can or a class can provide, I would say. And then we have to be very, very, very careful about how we provide or how we take them through this blended learning. We have to include technology and the lecture methods and all the other methods that we use to impart to the children, or all the information that we used to impart to them before or the pre-COVID situation. And I really believe that there should be some sort of proportion when we give or when we adapt this blended learning for our students. Maybe if, according to their levels or their class levels, the proportion may change, but I guess a 60 to 40, 80 to 20, where 80% of the class is handled by the teacher. And then after, or the point from when their attention is slowly coming to a dip, then we can engage them with all the wonders that technology can provide us. So they will be engaged and they'll start to enjoy the schooling, or they will start to enjoy, oh my God, this is the place I wanted to be. And blended learning is not the full stop, or blended learning is not the only thing that we will be having to offer in the future, because the classroom may be flipped. There is a new term, there is a considerably new term that teachers are coming across, that is the flipped classroom. The whole idea of classroom transaction is going to be vice versa, or it is going to be ulta. How is it that teachers use majority of their allotted time to explain, just to explain what is written in the textbook? Then we give them homework, which these kids go back to their homes and do. So now this idea is going to be flipped in very near future, and it is almost almost introduced in all the foreign countries, and it will soon come to India, or maybe our schools too. I'm sure of that. And what is the best thing, or the best aspect about a flipped classroom, is that children can easily read and understand, with the help of their parents, what is written in their materials or the textbooks. So it is easy for them. They'll underline or they'll make notes of what they have their doubts about, so what they didn't understand clearly. And then the next day they'll come back to school, where teachers can provide them with engaging activities, and they can just clear all their doubts. So what happens is that teachers get opportunity to provide their children with engaging or more useful activities through which they can understand what is in the materials. Learning by doing, there is nothing more than that. So we have an advantage of getting more time for engaging them with activities, which is lacking now through the online transaction. So that is what I see as a future of schools, and that is in my opinion, that is more effective, I guess. And I'm sure that Craft School has started the steps by introducing applications or the new technologies, including Kahoot and such applications and websites into the pedagogy, and thereby I've started to see the change in the maybe in the last 2 days. There was a session, I guess it was from ICT class, and children all enjoyed it. And that is when we are going to use technology effectively and without causing any much harm to our students. So this is what I have to, this is just a starting step. And I guess with all the webinars that is going to happen in future, we can refine, we can understand more of how we are going to change. But then I'll have to end my speech on the note that, of course, teachers will have a lot of, or maybe increased workload when a flipped classroom or a blended technology is introduced into the pedagogy. That is for sure. And we should be able to entertain or engage our students, and we should not overburden the teachers, because they will be having multiple classes and a lot of students to deal with. They will have to provide individual attention to each and every kid, but then we don't have to overload them. And the engagement of parents, that is one most important part. When these children are going through the blended mode or maybe the flipped classroom, the parent engagement rate is going to be high. And then we don't want to burden them also, because they have their own careers. They want to look after their children. They want to be at their home. They want to be 24/7. But then, yeah, that is also an aspect. So there is much or maybe there is a need for more discussions, or maybe more webinars on how we can deal with making this situation satisfactory for everyone, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lakshmi Sam. Well, that was a parent's perspective on the future pedagogy right from the heart, I would say. Right? The connotation of the sci-fi movies and things like that is still, when the Malayalam movie of Virus, be it, or the Will Smith movie of I'm a Legend, whenever we used to watch all these movies, we used to think that what on earth? But again, now when we are going through all these things, we feel that, was it a deja vu? But are we going through some sort of, wherein we've seen all these things beautifully put across, I would say. As you rightly said, those initial days of newfound happiness, it was there with all the parents, but then again, now it has turned out to be an anxiety. When will our children go to school, right? Kind of. Right now, getting acclimatized, very important. Getting accustomed to the new, ambience or climate of the classroom is very important. As WHO has rightly put across, it is now mandatory for the students to get back to school, right? It is very much important. Talking about the blended learning, the technology and the lecturing part, this percentage you were saying, right? How is it to be ascertained? Or is there any pattern for that for the teachers to follow?
There is no set pattern. It all depends on the levels of our children. Where are they standing? Based on the grades. So for the little ones, maybe we cannot provide them with much more technology or much more screen time. But for them, I would say that the physical interaction and the social skills are what is important for them. They have enough knowledge by now. They have been introduced to all such technological advancements by now. But what they are lacking is how teachers, or how they are going to be a part of the society by engaging with the friends, or that is most important.
It need to be tried and found out, right? And a kind of an, we'll have to wait for it to happen.
I guess.
Yeah, right, experimental methodology. And
yes.
Just want to know, in this blended learning methodology, what happens when there is a technical glitch?
That is where the teacher comes in. That is where the brilliance of the teacher is. That is why we can never replace a teacher. A teacher can never be replaced. And that is when we realize how valuable we are. That is what every teacher, we cannot be replaced by anyone.
So what will happen with I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. So what will happen with the students who are there in the classroom? There are a couple of students who will be attending online. There will be a couple of students who will be there in the classroom, right? So when there is a technical glitch, how would they manage?
Not necessarily. Maybe we can choose the time. Every day there may not. It is not what is compulsory that every day there should be a mode of blended learning. Okay, we can always engage them with activities. For the past these many years, we have proved that. But now when a new element has come, okay, we are accepting that, but we are not letting them overpower us.
Great. So that was, right. So you mean to say that it is up to the teachers, right, to form a, how to decide on how often this should be and things like that, right?
Yeah, they should always have a plan. They should always have a backup plan when they plan their lessons. I'm going to do this. What happens if there is a glitch? Then I have some other activities which I've planned, and I'm sure about this.
Perfect. We're talking about the flipped classroom. I was just saying the Socratic method of the Elliptic method of asking questions and finding out answers from the students and all these things is completely opposite of what used to happen, wherein you just leave it to them, learn it by doing yourself, come back and ask us, that's it, right? As simple as that. So pedagogy is definitely going through a transformation, in the days ahead. And thank you for beautifully putting it across to us. Thank you for the expertise shared. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Now, may I welcome Dr. George Joseph Patasheri, who is a consultant pediatrician at Kinder Hospital, Kochi, to speak on the topic, trying to schedule a back-to-school physical, a very important topic because I'm not sure how many parents out here do know the importance of a school physical. Dr. George Joseph is a proud Xavierite. After pursuing degree in medicine from Rural Medical College, Pune, he took further studies in pediatrics from Karnataka and finally from Jubilee Mission College, Thrissur. Has worked in Sri Narayana Institute of Medical Sciences, Kerala and Mumbai as medical director and as medical director in Hestia Hospital and currently with Kinder Hospital. Inviting Dr. George Joseph to contribute to the topic, please. Dr. George.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, the time has come actually. It's almost 8 o'clock.
Yeah, right.
I'll cut short. Congratulations for the massive recognition Craft World has got. I thought I am sending my kid to a school where there'll be fun and frolic and enjoyment and all. Then I saw the list of the institutes which are going to be affiliated, and like, my God, my kid is going to end up being in MITs or Princeton's or anything. Wow. It's like, asking, you want something small and you get the best and the best and the best and the best of best. Anyway, 17 months have been a pretty long time. It has been a very terrible time. I was always thinking as a student, like, I mean, right now when I'm sitting in the OPD, where was this all this while when I was a student? I mean, like, I was actually waiting for some vacations here and there, and I probably was not getting any of it. When being in Mumbai, if it rains, it drowns, whatever. They have this aspect of everything chalta hai, spirit of Mumbai, life goes on. The bus used to be on time, every day. So I used to never miss the school also. Even now, in fact, after being being in pediatrics, even now in the month of June, when I see the rainy clouds, I get butterflies in my tummy, thinking my school is going to reopen. And then when I got the topic as separation anxiety by Madam Mridula, I was like, oh my God, only I should have got this topic, and nobody else in the world could have got it. And then while reading about it, I came to know that it is actually, I mean, you don't inherit the wealth also. You not only get the houses, the buildings, the cars, the bungalow, the Mars, the fathers, everything. You inherit their health also. So anxiety is also one of them. Now, we are living in probably a new normal. When you say separation anxiety, the new normal, the normal tells me it's going to be less than 3 years of age. I mean, they'll be clinging, crying. Remember the first time when you went to school, you probably are dragging your kid. You probably, a kid is jumping ahead of you. Sometimes the kids are jumping ahead of you. Sometimes you're trying to hold back. Some they will go into the rainy puddle and jump and spoil the dresses and all. The first day of the school, they'll be crying. They'll be. I mean, sometimes, I always tell the parents who come for vaccination that I don't know whether the kids will cry, but promise me that the mother, you're not going to cry with. And they should end up laughing about it. So it's very important for all of us to face it hands down. Now, the thing is, the anxiety has many ways of showing it. Now, if when you go to as a patient, if you go and tell your doctor, I have a headache or a tummy ache, and you do all the scans and all the CT and MRI, and you find that it's absolutely normal, it is very difficult for the doctor to prove that you don't have a headache. It's very difficult. I mean, how can you prove it? I mean, I have a headache, I'm suffering from it, prove me wrong. It's very difficult. The same thing is going to happen with probably many times. The physical symptoms of separation itself, actually separation anxiety is a term you use, staying away from a parent or your caregivers and all those things. The ones now they are stuck to you from the last 17 months, suddenly detaching is going to be a big problem. And don't tell me, I mean, even though we are dealing with kids here, we as an adult many times have undergone separation anxiety, be that, you're being away from your parents or your loved ones, your husband going somewhere else to work, wife being somewhere else. It's going to be, the symptoms are all going to be different. And physical symptoms range from headache to tummy ache to palpitations to breathlessness to name it, and it will be there. And it's your job to figure it out. And the behavior ones will be crying, the clinging, holding onto your leg, not allowing you to go. All that is going to happen. Now, Now, how do we manage this? How do we manage this? The solution is there with you. Right now, you're in the middle of the day. Just imagine, I firmly believe if someone has to do something well in life in terms of brain, they have to sleep well. They have to absolutely sleep well. Sleep to our body is like the charger of a mobile. You don't charge your mobile properly for the night. Next day you are worried, oh my God, it's going to get switched off and switched on and all those things. The same thing is going to happen to you. So the idea right now, the kids are having probably the class at 10 and 11 and all, they're sleeping, wow, getting up, wow. I mean, I'm getting children now in the OPD saying that they sleep after 12 and they get up the next, I mean, they're sleeping next day and they're getting up next day. So it's a very funny situation, you know. I mean, like, and when you ask what the parents also are not sleeping, they're sleeping till 1 or 2 and all those things. So instead of, you know, we cursing our kids, it's time to set them an alarm sort of thing. I think Madam Dr. Kirti also must be totally agreeing that many times, I mean, though Kerala is not that much bad as compared to other states, we were getting children who are really thin and malnourished and not gaining weight because half of their life goes in school. When they come back, they have only one dinner to give and then nothing is there. I mean, what are you going to implement in that dinner that is going to compensate for what? Early in the morning when they get up, they have to eat fast and go fast. In the lunch, you give something so that the kids will eat fast and go back. Kids will leave something back and come back also. So you have actually only dinner time. But now when the kids are with you, it's getting exactly opposite of the curve. Now you're getting all Bahubalis in the house. Now everyone is, you know, now to lift your own kid, you have to go to the gym. And probably gym is closed, you don't have to, and you can lift them at home also. So a very important, not only social life, so social psycho, but it's also your physical health is very important in this. Sleep well, eat well, get up well, and exercise. Now, as I mean, there are many of our parents here and all those things, and probably you'll have your parents also. You will realize as a Malayali, ഇത് ഹാർട്ടിൽ ബ്ലോക്ക് വന്നാൽ നടക്കാൻ തുടങ്ങും, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ECG വേരിയേഷൻ വന്നാൽ നടക്കാൻ തുടങ്ങും, കൊളസ്ട്രോൾ കൂടി നടക്കാൻ തുടങ്ങും. No, just like it's a part, just like an everyday prayer is there, a part of life, exercise should also be a part of life, period. That's it. I mean, it happens in our house also many times. My wife is a very religious, she's there in this group, so I can't say much, but then, she's a religious girl. I'm saying, if you want prayer, you better have exercise also in the evening. And then now it becomes like, okay, my exercise, your prayer, and all those things. So, but that is important part. And this will surely help your separation anxiety. So what happens is, just 2 weeks or 3 weeks prior to this, you can't just get up in the middle of, one day early in the morning and get up and go to school. No, the preparation begins almost 2 to 3 weeks back. And no doubt, Madam Dr. Kirti has given a long list. There's even furthermore list and all criteria like, the positivity rate of 5 and 20 cases per lakh and all those things. I don't know when you're going to get that. I mean, that's I'll be very happy and, very happy to send my child to school and all. There's no doubt. As a parent, we all need break. The ones who are having careers, they're having, it's a little difficult life, all of them. But the anxiety, everything begins much early. Now, there's a movie called, I'm sure you must have seen, it's called Muttashi Gada. That's a grandmother movie, and it's a fantastic movie. I loved it. In that scene, there's a beautiful scene in which a family comes to the house and they all want to go back, and they're going back home, and the kid is saying bye bye to every member of the house. And Baba, bye bye uncle, bye bye auntie, bye bye Jeji, Baba, bye bye, bye bye, bye bye, bye bye. It's just going on and on. In the end, the grandma said, oh my God, she's saying bye from the last 5 minutes. And the same thing is going to happen. Now, just imagine as a kid, you have this clinging habit, 3-year-old kid who was clinging to you when you're going for LKG. Just imagine the same symptom being shown by a 8 or 10-year-old going to Craftwall school. How are you going to manage that? So this bye-bye and tata and all those things has to be as short as possible. You just have to go, drop them, come back. No hi, bye, oh my God, high five, fist up and all those things. No, it's going to work. So please make it sure that as short as sweet. And probably when the school begins, I'm not a big fan of every parent coming with the cars and dropping the kid. Probably everyone should go in the school bus so that they all know where they're going to go. It might sound like, children are going to jail and all those things, but that is the way. Like, they all go, they should know, the crowding will be less. Now the question of, how do we manage a class that way? I personally believe that if there's a class of 30, just call 10 each in one day. The remaining 20 will be having online class, so that every 10 gets alternate days to come to school. and let them come and enjoy the life also as much. So separation anxiety is a pretty deep topic. I hope none of the kids require like medications for them. But then one thing I realized, that if you want the kids to be healthy, the parents also have to be healthy. They have to start the tracking much before earlier. The other topic given to me is long COVID. Thankfully, long COVID is not seen much in kids. I think.
Doctor, we'll come to the questions.
Yeah, please, please, please.
Yeah.
Long COVID, I was not trying to tell because already Madam has told the detail about COVID. I think everyone has become a doctor now. So
Right.
any questions, please shoot.
Yeah, right. Well, now, you know what? That was a child's reminiscence. You know, the bus was always on time, right, doctor? What to do? It was always on time. We enjoyed the pediatrician's language. I'm sure that the kids and the parents would so very much. And the sleep part, definitely yes, something we all have to, you know, pay attention to it. Doctor has got, I think, 3 Bahubalis at home, right, doctor? Right.
No,
That
they were
is
kids now.
indeed
They have become Bahubalis now.
right. Indeed, tough time. And how about the annual checkup, the physical, doctor, from your side, children before getting back to school? Is there any checkup or something which you suggest?
I'll, if possible, and if there is vaccinations going on around, I mean, it's not come for the kids. If can be, I'm not trying to say that every kid should get it, but a flu shot will not be a bad idea.
Okay.
A flu shot will not be a bad idea. Second,
And what is that? If you can just explain, please. What
a flu shot is something like it's like COVID in the alien bole. It's like a brother of COVID. I mean, like an influenza has been a long time. I mean, we are worried about COVID in so much so, but nobody realized. I think probably Madam will also agree to with that influenza was killing a lot of more people than probably COVID.
Yeah, right. It was there
Just
for
because
4 years. Right.
our attention right now is full on COVID. So influenza is a silent killer. We don't know, from the elderly to the young. Now, actually, if you want the kids to be safe in the school, the adults have to behave properly outside the school, and that includes everyone, not the school attenders and school, the teachers, the principals, the one who's serving food. No, we as a parent and we traveling in the metro, somebody else going by rickshaw, everyone has to take those vaccines. Only then the kid will be healthy. There's absolutely no doubt. And what I always, right now, I think Madam also will agree. Right now, we are having our OPDs are getting full, not because of COVID. We are having an antigen negative, RT-PCR negative viral infection which behaves exactly like COVID. Everyone in the family is affected, and it's going. I don't want to be a buzz killer, and y'all are all in a very good mood and all. I don't want to stop it, but that is going on right now. So the moral of the story is, elders behave themselves. Youngers one, well, we can't tell. We can only request them to behave themselves.
And you also suggest flu shot, right?
It won't be a bad idea. It won't be a bad idea to get flu shot.
Right.
It's not a recommendation. My personal opinion. I mean, because there will be a lot of children who will be having asthma and other kids into the school.
Got it. And the best part which I loved is the bye-bye part. We should all turn out to be Westerners, wherein once you say bye, it's a bye, and then just don't even look back, and that is a part. So beautifully put across, I would say. Thank you so very much for that. And then we would love to hear from you more. But then again, as you said that you're going to cut it short, maybe in the next webinar, we would continue more, and hear more from you. May I now invite Mr. Sabri Hared, the General Manager, Complete Vibrant Trading and Contracting Company, LLC, Muscat, to speak on the topic, NEP, a welcome change, the shift in pedagogy and impact amidst pandemic. Mr. Sabri Hared started his career in procurement and logistics 29 years ago. As a head of an engineering company, he was instrumental to scale his company to reasonable heights. His area of specialization is emergency maintenance and infrastructure, especially in potable water, treated effluent and sewerage pipelines, the areas which needs the highest efficiency and professional skills. Inviting Mr. Sabri Harid to speak on the topic, please. Mr. Sabri Harid. So I'm so very sorry. We just, I would say, got too delayed. I'm so sorry for that. But then again, when the parents started sharing, couldn't resist hearing from them. Sorry for not, keeping up the time. Yeah. I'm sorry, sir. You're mute. I think you have to unmute yourself, please.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, it was really, really fantastic session to hear this from the specialist to know much about the problems which we are facing. At the outset, I would like to express the. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, for the accreditation. Congratulations to all, and we are proud to be a part of the winning team. Then let me come to the point. I don't have much to say because all the specialist people have already told, and it is already we want to take much time. My point of concern is that you have named this webinar as a anxiety. That is something I am having a small difference of opinion. We are hearing a lot of anxieties and we are loaded with that for past 20 months. We are hearing a lot of negative words like that. So why can't we change that the term anxiety to a challenge, like something which we are facing for past 20 months. This thing is creating problem on the children's when we say when we express our anxiety and all. So this is, let us take it as a challenge, and this challenge we will have to overcome by educating our children about the seriousness of this pandemic. One thing is sure, this virus is going to be with us for next few years, and we will have to teach our children, we will have to educate our children to live with the virus. So that is something which I want to express. And I had prepared something which I think already it is discussed about the other things of the COVID. So I don't have much to say. I would like to make a small recommendation that in spite of using the word anxieties and all, let us put it in a very positive way. It is a challenge, and we will have to overcome this challenge. Thank you very much.
So that is the challenge of being the speaker, last in the order, because most of the things which you intend to say.
That's true. That's true. Almost all
yeah,
things is covered.
Exactly. Yeah, right. That is a challenge. I understand.
Blended education,
Yeah,
flip
right.
classes, and all
Right,
everything is covered. So
But yes,
no
instead
use
of
of repeating
anxiety,
that.
challenge would be the right word. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you so very much.
yes, that's true. That is the only thing, because we have already loaded with
Right.
different multiple anxieties. So one more
Right.
anxiety for
Back
let
to
us
school
change the name.
challenge. Yes. We
Yeah,
all
back
get
to school
ready for the
challenge.
challenge. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Thank you, sir, for that. Now it is time for questions. In fact, I've come up with the audience have come up with a lot of questions, but then again, we're already at 8:21. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put across one question each to the panel, and then they can quickly help with the answers to the parents, because a lot of parents are really, should I use the word anxious or challenge? Anxious. Okay, anxious to get to know the answer. Right. So the first question is to the principal, Ms. Mridula. Is it practically possible to continuously keep a check on the mask use, particularly with primary years children? And how will the school support and educate on the importance of mask use, please?
Yeah, definitely. That is the first question actually comes to all our minds when we talk about coming back to school, especially about the primary school children. So I just have about 5 points prepared just to clear most of the questions, I guess, that parents are anxious about. So just let me share you one small one, just a slide to tell you what we are going to do in a nutshell to prevent COVID-19 from when we start our in-person school. So just give me a second. Yeah. I hope everyone can see my screen.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, so I have just prepared few points, the COVID-19 prevention plans for schools. These are the key plans we are looking upon as instructed by our WHO and UNICEF, and how the schools that are already opened in other continents and other states have been going through. So if in the next 6 months we are planning to reopen our schools, and definitely how the doctors were saying just now about promoting vaccination, the first key plan to be done to educate the benefits and importance across the school family, including the staff and also the parents, the well-wishers, everyone, whoever is actually related to school family. We keep promoting about the vaccination benefits. That's the first thing that we'll be doing. And about the vaccination for kids, definitely about 12 years old, I guess the vaccination will be started by end of April or May, so that the kids all will get vaccinated accordingly. Just one jab or shot, needleless vaccination has been coming. So definitely for kids, I guess about 12 years old will be vaccinated definitely. And under 2 years, I think there is no need of, mask and all these kind of COVID-19 restrictions can be reduced. I guess that's what the doctors also have been saying. So for about 12 years old and for all who is related to school, we will be promoting vaccination in all the ways, like making posters, educating its benefits in all sort of ways. The second point to be the consistent and correct mask use, as we all have been saying, like along with the uniforms, we will be planning to offer our labeled cloth masks accordingly, like a uniform accessory, like how we have been giving all these bells, badges, and everything. We'll be offering the same cloth mask, labeling their names with their names engraved. Maybe in case it falls down, can be identified as that kid's own. So offering labeled cloth masks according to, the age appropriate cloth masks with their names engraved or embroidered on those masks. And as you all know, Craftful School have only minimum number of children in each grade. That means maximum will be around 15 children in a class. And we do have 2 teachers in the classroom, one main teacher and one assistant teacher. Along with that, there will be a caretaker all across the day. So definitely these 3 adults will be able to manage this, the maximum 15 number of kids in the class, and definitely can monitor each and every one. And definitely physical distancing. The only thing that will be changing is the change of round table seating to row seating. Now we have round table seating arrangement in all classrooms. So definitely we have to change it to a row seating where all of them will be looking towards, looking in one way to the teacher, and teacher can go around. And somehow we are doing this flipped classroom as our Lakshmi, the teacher told. So we are doing those kind of arrangements. So definitely learning and teaching. So definitely this row seating arrangement won't hurt, I guess, as we have only minimum number of children, with definitely 3-meter distance that you have been preferring. And assigning cohorting rules, something like 3 or 4 children can be grouped into one, and that there will be one cohort who can actually look after the other kids, especially in the higher grades, like leader roles in the classroom or cohorting roles. And use of plexiglass partitions, what the other schools have been doing in labs and staff rooms, where these are not actually, there won't be any kind of proper ventilation in labs. Mostly we have to use air conditioning in the labs and staff rooms mostly. So we will be preferring to use the plexiglass partitions, and also making corridors and hallways as one ways, so that there is not much getting together by the kids. And as we have only minimum number of kids in the whole school, will not be a problem, I guess, when we use these kind of techniques. Definitely the next point is ventilation, where more outdoor learning hours. We already have this kind of strategy in our school, where the whole learning happens outside the school, under the car porch, under the tree, or maybe in the car porch, depending upon the kids' mood on that day. Usually in the mornings, they are not, we don't have that classroom technique in our school. Wherever the kids would like to have, depending upon the activities, they'll be sometimes doing the learning in the kitchen itself. So more outdoor learning hours and use of HEPA filters. As you all know, this filters, air filters, has been the trend these days, which can be actually installed in the closed rooms like labs, even in the transportation. These high effective particulate air filters can be used. The next thing is educating and empowering about the hand washing technique and the respiratory etiquette. When they sneeze or cough, they have to do it into their sorry, elbow crease. So all these we can do, educate and empower this hand washing and respiratory etiquette, use of sanitizers and everything. Definitely cleaning and disinfection. This has been done not only during this COVID time. As you all know, we do have our own kitchen in our school, and we have been following all the cleaning and disinfection routine since we operate the big kitchen in our school itself. So, and definitely restriction of visitors, not like before earlier period. We do have a very high restriction of visitors. As Dr. George said, we just want all the parents, including parents and others, to drop their kids just at the gate so that we can have a real cocoon of prevention of COVID-19. Definitely, along with the attendance, we can check the temperature and symptoms every day. Staying home when sick and getting tested. I'm sorry, I think we do have, I just mute our one of the parent. Yes, yeah.
I think it is Mitu.
Yeah, and definitely what Dr. Kirti has been saying about the COVID nodal officers in the school. We were not really sure how the offer will be, we can have that advantage or not, but definitely we'll be having our in-house doctor and nurse all the way in school, having frequent rounds in classrooms and also in the common areas. And we have a properly equipped infirmary and isolation rooms when necessary. And the food and nutrition that we have been following since last 6 years, we were all having together the lunch in the afternoons. So we'll be having all this in an outdoor area. That's what we are planning about. And by that time, I guess we would be having our own school building after this academic year. We'll be moving on to our new building where we can have a much more area where we can have common surfaces and with proper ventilation and outdoor spaces. So these are the summarized prevention plans of Craftworld School from COVID-19. I would like to have all the suggestions from our doctor expertise and also from the nodal officers, and we'll be implementing all this in the coming 6 months when we get orders from the authorities to reopen the school. I guess most of the doubts would have
been, yeah. In fact, I had a couple of questions to Sir Majid sir. In fact, you have answered most of the questions which I was supposed to put across to Sir. About the HEPA filters and things like that, right? Now, I have two quick questions to Mr. Sabri Harid. In fact, he didn't have points to explain on the measures to be implemented and things like that. Two quick questions. One is like mask are basically of different types. So I really do not know how many of us know the type of mask and then the type of mask which need to be used in different scenarios and things like that. So which is the right one, how to create this awareness in the society. And the next important question is that how do we curtail the misinformation which is going about, as far as COVID-19 which is getting circulated as far as COVID-19 is concerned. Mr. Harid.
I think Harid is not there.
Is left, okay.
He has some work there,
no
and
problem.
he told me that
May I request doctor to explain on the mask part, because she was about to say that, and then
Dr. George.
Dr. Kirti.
Dr. Kirti
was mentioning about
Yes.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So masks, actually there are different types of masks available in the market.
Okay.
So the most effective mask is said to be the N95 mask. That is to be used only by the medical professionals, that is healthcare workers who are in direct contact with the positive patients. That is what the ideal situation is, but you can see many of the normal common people wearing the N95 mask nowadays. But that is the N95 mask. A second one is a surgical. There is a 3-layer mask available. 3-layer mask is available. That is also preferably used in hospital settings. Then you have normal mask. 2-layer mask is also available. And then the fourth one is a cloth mask that we use. Normally you use cloth mask, which is made up of cloth, which is usually 2-layered. But ideally, a 3-layer and N95 masks are to be used in hospital settings. And now a recent study was, I think, maybe 4 or 5 months back, it was said that usage of a surgical mask along with a cloth mask will provide better protection. So first you use a surgical mask, and over that you can use a cloth mask, so that it provides better protection from the virus, so that the transmission risk is very less. So these are the different types of masks available. And the most important thing is that you have to use the mask properly. You have to cover your nose as well as your mouth when using the mask. It is not the type of mask, but it is the how properly you use it. That is which is important. You have to cover your nose as well as the mouth so as to have the protection.
That is, I was just thinking, ignorance is certainly not a bliss, right, doctor? So as rightly said, N95 mask, most of us have been using it. That was an ignorance. So we just need to use the surgical mask. Over that, we'll have to use a 2-layer mask, or the cloth mask or whatever. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Thank you for that information. Now the next question is to Dr. George. Dr. George, what is long COVID? Can children be affected? If so, would this pose a threat when children are preparing to get back to school, please? Dr. George.
Long COVID basically is seen more in adult population rather than kids. The kids have much more different types, though. One of the most important symptom for long COVID in kids is a loss of sense of smell.
Oh,
That's one of the most important. When it comes to adult, there's a huge list, right? From breathlessness to fatigue, and many. I mean, post COVID, many of the adults will be saying that they're not able to walk, they get breathless. So the symptoms probably going more than 12 weeks will fall into that category. But COVID positive kids within 2 months, there's a very dangerous complication called MISC. I think Dr. Kirti will be surely. MISC is nearly fatal, I can say. It's nearly, I mean, your immunity goes into overdrive, and it can affect every part of the body.
What is it, doctor? What is the term?
It's a multi-inflammatory systemic inflammation in kids. The C stands for kids, children.
Oh,
and
okay.
When it just began, I mean, when the first of 2 cases just began, I mean, probably we just probably diagnosed on time to save the life of the kid. They will come after, post COVID within 2 months, they'll come with fever, I mean, which will go for maybe 3 to 4 days, with rash, with eyes which are red, with the throat which is bad, which are rash, which looks, which is very different, and with loose motion. And so almost every part of the system is affected, and suddenly there's a deteriorate. So though long COVID in pediatrics is much more, we are supposed to be, although sitting here, should be worried if they get COVID, that, madam also.
Which goes on, stresses for a period of 2 months, right?
For the kids, yes, we have to have a keen eye, and we can't just, just laugh off any fever which is coming for just 1 day and just, be happy with it. So kids have to be really, they have to be really on, they'll keep us on toes anyway. This
You're right. So it is just the loss of smell.
That is one of the most common
symptoms to start with. Yeah, right.
No, not start with. This is one of the probably, thankfully, not thankfully. I mean, only long COVID symptom probably in children, which is seen right now. There's a huge list which thankfully children are not getting.
Got it. Okay, unlike adults, right? Okay, yeah. Thank you for that missed knowledge. Yeah, right. The next question is to Ms. Lakshmi Sam. Ms. Lakshmi, we're talking about hybrid learning, flipped learning, classrooms, and all these things. My question is, see, is the current system of ours and the teachers very specifically equipped to design their lesson plans for remote and hybrid environments? In terms of, we have this terminology called the classroom aids and learning navigators and things like that. So is our current system equipped, or are the teachers, are they really equipped?
Actually, we are on the track. That is what I would like to say. It's not totally equipped. That is the truth. Because this generation of teachers who have completed their professional degree in teaching, they have not gone through all these. It was just a start of maybe the technological part was included very later, maybe just 10 years before. That's it. But we never expected such a turn of events, and we were not expecting this, and we are not equipped. But what teachers can do is they can upgrade their skills, take all the alternative courses which is available. There are thousands available. Check if it is what is recognized or it has validity. Take all these courses, immerse themselves, and we should equally be having the mindset of a child to learn more, to know more, and try to be one step ahead of what our child knows. That is the main challenge. So we have to equip ourselves. And as a teacher, it's not that I'm equipped and I'm already doing this, but we all have to put efforts. So it is not equipped. We have to. Maybe thankfully in the coming years, our teaching courses will also be adding additional skills or maybe additional papers on all these things, hopefully.
Thank you. So, the, what do you call that? The way ahead is keeping your ears and eyes open, keeping your glass always empty, right? Learning new skills, right? That is how it's going to be. Now it's time for panelist feedback, please. Dr. George. Let's start with Dr. George.
Sorry, I just lost you.
I said the panelist feedback time. Just a few words on what are the changes we need to bring in as far as the next webinar is concerned. How did it really meet your expectation and things like that, please? Yeah.
Well, frankly speaking, meeting so many, almost I think 40 participants in a closed room is a luxury which I think I never had in the last 17 months. It's just really nice to see everyone smiling a lot, lot of good information, lot of beautiful things which Madam had, Dr. Kirti has told me, and just this made my eyes also open. They're always never too young to learn. We're sitting in a classroom anyway. Right. So, not that I'm always young, but still. Anyway, so nice to see Majid sir and Principal Madam in person. And fantastic moderation work, Madam. It's like fantastic. I could, I actually thought, that the time was less.
Yeah.
I mean, and you still in between were asking questions and all. Then I thought, the time. See, in Mumbai, we are so punctual. We can't miss a 6:59 train. 6:59 train comes on time. So it's not you go. So when I was thinking you're asking questions, I was like, wow, we have time that means. And I was getting a little anxious about that.
Oh no, challenge.
I was not getting time.
Yeah, right.
Anyway,
yeah.
It was fantastic. It was nice talking to right. There's a huge spectrum of talks from
even I was amazed by the kind of knowledge which in each.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Please. It's our pleasure. Yeah. Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Kirti, please.
Yeah, same here. Thank you for having me. It was wonderful talking to such eminent persons. And I'm looking forward to more such webinars. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Ms. Lakshmi.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess what Doctor said had something to do with me. I do not know if I encroached sometime. That was allotted to him. I really think about that. Sorry, maybe in the future webinars that we have, speakers will have a check on their time And if I've done that, sorry about that. But then it is a wonderful opportunity. The initiative, looking forward for all the future webinars. It is an eye opener to hear the things that we do not know from eminent personalities, and wishes. Thank you.
Thank you for the wonderful thoughts from your side. Now now may I request Ms. Mridula Praveen to deliver the vote of thanks, please.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Bindu, to coming up. We are reaching the end of the series that we are supposed to finish it up by 8 o'clock, I guess. And I was promising all our parents that we'll be finishing it within an hour, and please squeeze in your time. So anyway, we have reached the end of the session, and as Ms. Bindu has been saying, this is all the panelists. Actually, when I gave a request call to all of them, they were all skeptical, doubtful to say whether we haven't talked in any webinar yet, even though we have been spreading awareness in our own base. So whether we'll be the right fit for the first webinar series of ours. But you have proved indeed the right fit for the first webinar to be done. Definitely all of you has beautifully put across all the views, and we are also a little more confident, definitely, for reopening of our school. Successful kids and successful schools usually share a small secret ingredient. They say it is the understanding and supportive parents. So definitely Craftworld School is indeed blessed with such a parent fraternity. So I'm extremely thankful to all of you to for making this maiden series of Craftworld School Knowledge Hub a memorable and a wonderful one. So thank especially our panelists for accepting our request to spread awareness and for avoiding all these back to school jitters. In addition, I'm extremely grateful to Advocate Majid sir and the whole management team, the school management team, for initiating this knowledge sharing series of education renaissance. We are using the best use of technology, even though during this COVID-19 lockdown. So, and a special thanks to all our beloved parents for continuing in the webinars, even though we have crossed our time limit, and also my cordial teachers who made this event, as I said, a fruitful one. And thank you, Ms. Bindu, for moderating our maiden series in such a wonderful way, fantastic way. And in closing, let me say, together, may we give our children roots to grow and wings to fly when we reopen our school, as we used to do earlier in Craftworld School. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today and for the expertise shared. Looking forward to more of such learnings together in the future. Wishing you all a very happy weekend. Thank you.